Hey guys, it's Katy at scrappinkaty.ctmh.com, and I am joining some of the members of the creative design team to bring you more of Love Your Stash. Now, we will be doing these series starting on the 5th of each month, and so here is my stash. It's called Swan Lake. It is a few years old, maybe even more from close to my heart, but you can see here the pattern papers have swans. You've got some kind of very feminine patterns, but I want to show you this layout featuring our youngest son and a photo I took of him playing baseball. Now, I am using a sketch from the 30 days of sketches that I did last month, so in March, and this is one of the days that I actually missed, but it's perfect for this collection because it definitely had some feathers off to the left, and so I've cut those using one of Close to My Heart's Cricut collections, and I'm really going to like it because my son's baseball team this particular year was called the Braves. Now, the sketch does have a sun kind of burst pattern. Instead of pulling out my 12 by 12 stencil sheet that has the sunburst, I decided to just use a scratch piece of cardstock. Now, this is Gold Rush ink that I'm using, and I just have a mini blending tool, and I am just going over the edge of that cardstock to create the sunburst. So if you like the look of the sunburst, but you don't want to buy the stencils, it's really easy to just use scraps of paper and then, of course, a blending tool and some ink. So I'm just going to add this last little sunburst right here. I was going to stop at the 4, but I don't know if you could tell, but I kind of went off of the other edge of that, so I needed to hide that. So if you recall, this paper, again, was Swan Lake. So there were pictures of swans. You barely can tell, but my background paper is just a real light gray. I believe it is our mink color, and it's kind of got a pebbled background. And then I am going to back it with that darkest color, and that is the peacock, and that is definitely a pattern, and that's the same pattern I cut those leaves from. And then this pattern paper is just kind of a lighter blue, and I am going to, that's what's basically going to be the mat for my photo. And then there are some elements that go above the photo. So right here, I'm just going to lay everything out. Again, these Cricut cuts are from, I will have to check, but I believe it's the Artiste Cricut collection. I'll check and I'll leave the links down below. You can grab them. And then the title, Braves, I actually made using the brand new Cricut feature called Offset. And I am so excited about this feature. Now I am going to, or you see that I've edge distressed those edges just to kind of bring in some more color. And then being that this peacock piece of paper doesn't show a whole lot, you guys have seen me do this before, I just cut the center out. That way I don't waste a whole piece of pattern paper. And then when I glue down this other light gray to this, I just keep my glue pretty tight to the edge, so there's no danger of me getting any adhesive on that open part of that base peacock pattern paper. So I'm done with that. And then these little baseball, now I debated actually adding an entire baseball, but it was just way too heavy for this layout. So what I did was in Cricut, I did use the contour feature, and that way it only cut the, what do you even call those? I'm not a big baseball fan. The laces. No, that's a football. I don't know, but you know, the little parts of a baseball. And it doesn't even go like that in a baseball. You know, a baseball, it goes the opposite directions. But I think that you kind of get the gist of the idea, and I love the pop of red up there in that corner. Now here, these feathers actually had another solid feather shape that you would back this on, and I decided not to cut those. But hindsight, I'm thinking that they need a color. So I've just cut tiny strips of some of that pattern paper, and I am just backing those. I'm only adding a little bit of liquid adhesive just so I can see if I'm going to like it or not before I commit. Now, these feathers, I'm going to go ahead and warn you, these feathers gave me a run for my money. I tried to use them like they were in the sketch, which are pretty much the way you see them right here. They were just kind of really heavy. I couldn't get them to, I guess, do what I wanted from behind that title. And so you're going to see me fuss with them a whole lot. I apologize in advance, but if you'll hang on, I think that you'll like the end result. So these are the PML cards. Close to My Heart used to have just a full 12 by 12 sheet, and you had 4 by 6 and 3 by 4, and you just cut them apart. So I just decided to cut just an edge off of that sunflower one, or that might have actually been saffron, but that dark yellow, and use it to kind of anchor underneath that title, Braves. And here is where I start messing with the feathers. And then I end up, I think here in just a second, I end up just nixing the big feather and I only use the smaller feathers. Now, a little history about this photo. Um, my son decided to play baseball, and my husband was a baseball player. Baseball has, even though we are a sports family, baseball has got to be my least favorite sport. And I hope I didn't piss any of you off, but man, my husband signed him up. And then because my husband's work schedule versus my work schedule, I was always the one taking him to practices. I was the one taking him to his games. It just, it just killed me. So then I started looking at it as, this is God's way of telling me to just slow down. Because sometimes baseball games, especially at this age, baseball games could be like just watching paint dry. And that's what I equated it to. But what I did love about it is I love taking pictures through the chain link fence. Literally, I had to find something every day to a reason to appreciate baseball and that my son was playing it. So one of the reasons was I love the pictures through the chain link fence. The other thing was my husband taught our son to bat left-handed. So he's right-handed, but taught him to also bat left-handed just in case he decided to continue to play baseball. He could switch it up on pitchers, when he was in junior high and high school. The bad thing about that is at this age, our poor baby literally got hit with every pitch because the pitchers weren't used to left-hand batters. So he got hit with every pitch. One of them actually resulted in breaking his arm. And then that break, even though you're supposed to get back on the horse, that break pretty much ended his baseball career, if he was even ever going to have one. But my husband thought that he would. So he just, he didn't really like it. Poor baby didn't like getting hit every time. And then, once it actually broke his arm, he really didn't like getting hit. So what I am using for embellishments, again, from my stash, is the Swan Lake Compliments. And then I've also pulled out some of these puffy stickers. That's my son's arm asking, "Hey, is that me?" And then these enamel stars, which are actually from an old Halloween collection. And that is one reason why the creative design team and I decided to kind of keep this Love Your Stash going, is we've had so much fun digging out our stash and using these embellishments and paper collections instead of just collecting it. And that's really what we want you guys to do. And as you can see here, Swan Lake now is full of baseball pictures. And then you've got the Halloween stars. This is another one of those PML cards that I have just cut down so it will fit and be a tiny little spot for my journaling. Now, if you've watched, I guess maybe the last video I did, or maybe the video before that for the 30 days of sketches, I basically had a whole lot of Instagram photos that I decided to print. And I printed them through Shutterfly. And Shutterfly actually prints what you said on Instagram. And so it was real tiny, and that's what I'm going to put on the journaling lines down below that I just drew. And then I'm just going to put just a couple of little bitty, I guess maybe who, when, what, where on that top one over his photo. And here are some close-ups of the feathers. I did end up bending up the edges of the feathers just a little bit. And then you can see those stars and then that background paper. Now keep in mind that we are doing this every month. Not all of us will be playing every month, but tomorrow Carrie is definitely playing. So you want to make sure you check back and see what she has to share and what she is loving with her stash. And don't forget that we love to see your creations. So use that hashtag CDT for Creative Design Team. Love your stash. So we can check it out, we can love it, like it, and comment. As always, thank you so much for stopping by and watching. If you liked what you saw, I would love for you to leave me a comment and a thumbs up. And if you aren't already a subscriber, hit that subscribe button as well as that little notification bell so you'll be alerted the next time I post a crafty video.